All right. Oh, we are live currently with the first interview session of Data with Danny. And today I'm joined by the awesome Lillian Pierson, who I'll introduce and show on the screen really shortly. But hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'd like to, because we're going to be a bit tight for time today, and Lillian's got a really busy schedule, I'm just going to jump straight into the story of how I started talking with Lillian. So 5 years ago, when I was doing my journey into data science, I actually read Lillian's book, Lillian Pierson's book called Data Science for Dummies. And yeah, a few weeks earlier, just like a few months ago or a few weeks ago, I was just commenting somewhere on LinkedIn that I read her book, and Lillian jumped in, and all of a sudden we were chatting and messaging each other, and now we're doing an interview together. I think it's so cool. But without further ado, I'm going to bring on Lillian directly into the live, and she's going to introduce herself and tell you guys a little bit more about today and what's going to go on and how we're going to do it. Awesome. All right, Lillian, great to see you.
Hey, Danny. Hey, Data with Danny crew. How is everyone today? I hope you are doing well. Let us know if you're here. Just leave some comments for us so we can start checking in and getting to just say hi. And thank you so much for joining us. I am Lillian Pierson, and I am a data leader, and I support data professionals to moving forward and getting ahead in their own careers. So I'm super excited to have been invited on, and yeah, I think we're going to do I'll give you a little more introduction here in a minute. But
so essentially, the way we're pitching this sort of interview series is because Lillian is so experienced. It's going to be kind of like Lillian mentoring me live about data leadership, and we're just going to try and have a lot of fun with it. Lillian has a ton of stuff prepared that she's going to take you through. There's a lot of inspiring stories. She's going to talk a bit more about her experience, specifically around leadership in data roles. And yeah, we're just going to try and hang out for a bit. Hope you guys have a lot of fun. For some of the housekeeping, Lillian's got a lot of stuff to go through. So what we're going to do is try and just go run through all of the stuff and try and make it conversational between us. And then at the end, we're going to call for live Q&A. If you have any questions about the content or any of the questions around there, we can definitely do that as well. So just hang in tight, and we're just going to jump straight into it. So, yeah.
Okay, guys, so I know that probably some of the things, well, I know for sure that many of the things I'm going to say to you today defy conventional wisdom across the industry. And so you may have questions, you may have concerns, you may be totally freaking thrilled that to get this message. And all of that is great. And I'm going to address any and all questions at the end of the session. And we're gonna go right into this share. So what we're actually talking about is how do you snag a data leader role, even if you don't have a ton of data implementation experience. And I'm going to be debunking the myth that you need a decade of data implementation experience before you're quote unquote good enough to be a data leader. And the way that I'm going to debunk this myth today is that I'm going to share with you a super inspiring story from a former client and her career path. And that will be a way for you to see what is possible. But then we can also discuss in Q&A after, we can discuss other elements that you may be interested in. So why you're going to want to stick around, you're going to want to stick around if you want to get really inspired about how to step up and skill up and become a data leader. And then the other thing you're going to get if you stick around is you're going to see the 4 superpowers that you need in order to become a data leader fast. So we'll discuss both of those. And again, just to let you know, I am Lillian Pierson, and I am a data strategist, a data leader. I'm on a mission with my business, Data Mania to support other data professionals in getting ahead in their own careers. And to date, I have trained over 1 million people on data science. And so there we have it.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, Lillian. You've got a big fan here. Twitter is saying, your Python for data science course, Lillian, was super useful for kickstarting my data science interest from Prophet Akio. Awesome.
Yay.
Really cool.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Just as a disclaimer, Lillian can't actually see the comments because I'm playing around with some of my live streaming software. So I'm going to be reading out any of the comments, and hopefully it'll not be too awkward for Lillian because she can only see me on the screen. But yeah, I think we'll go on from here as well. So yeah, when we were preparing this live, actually, I was getting a lot of, I had a few questions myself for Lillian, specifically around those 4 superpowers and some of her experience where people have started going into data leadership roles where they haven't had those years of experience. Even for myself, when I was coming up through the ranks of data science, I thought that we had to have a lot of years of experience working in the field to successfully lead projects and make sure that they have all the different technical aspects included and everything like that. So I'm totally open to try to hear what Lillian has to say on this, because she's just got a ton of experience, and I think everyone can learn something from today. Awesome. So,
I mean, and your perspective, the conventional wisdom, it makes sense, because if you think about it, you're like, okay, I studied hard, I took all these courses, I learned how to do all of these, like, I learned how to do data engineering, I learned how to build these pipelines, I learned how to build predictive models. So if I keep taking courses, if I keep working on that, then I will get a better job. I'll get promoted. I will maybe get more satisfaction. Like, okay, maybe I don't like what I'm doing here, so maybe I'll switch over. If you're data science, switch into data engineering. It'll be better. You can, because we all want some upward mobility, right? We all want to feel like there's a place for us to go forward. So if I do more of what I did, then I'll get further along, like I will advance. But how it actually works is that, yes, you do need to take those coding courses, and you do need to get the experience and understand how everything works. But if you keep going down the path, it's not actually going to move you up to the next level. It's actually going to just move you deeper into the implementation level.
Definitely. In my experience, where we've seen a ton of technical experts, where their trade is essentially doing all the data implementation, and you see them it's almost like the SMEs working on that space kind of get stuck within an area, and that's their niche, and they don't really, there's less mobility going upwards because everyone knows them as, oh, you're the data engineer guy who does pipelines. You stick to this area. And
that's what they do. That's one of the reasons, what we help people with inside Winning with Data is helping them, data implementation people, start showing up like leaders, and in a way that attracts that attention of if you want to become a data leader, the first thing you have to do is start showing up as a data leader, and people start seeing that in you, right? So it's kind of like getting pigeonholed. And so I can say this as an entrepreneur now, because I hire data scientists, I hire data people. So as a business owner, okay, we'll talk all about that. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, I think, someone in the comments was saying that my voice is super low. Can you hear me now? Is that okay? Yeah? Okay, I'm not too sure. Well, I'll try and speak as loud as possible. Okay. Where are we with the contents? Okay.
You were going to ask me something, I thought.
Let me go through. Okay. Are we going? Oh, all right. So, Lillian, why are you sharing this lesson now? Why not before or later?
Well, okay, so the reason I wanted to put this message out here was when I first initially released Winning with Data, someone in the comment section of Instagram, they were very interested in becoming a data leader, but then they said, like, don't I need to go ahead and first master data itself by spending a lot of time becoming a data scientist. And then that would take me to help me become a data leader. And so if someone asked you that, Danny, what would you say? Like, do you think to become a good data leader, you have to become a data scientist first? What would your answer be?
So honestly, before we had a more in-depth discussion, I truly, my perspective was that a lot of the data leaders that are out there, they either have the in-depth experience and the technical experience, and they somehow magically also had a knack for people and team leadership, and they were given more and more responsibility, or they were non-technical leaders. And some of those leaders, the latter, were actually the best data science leaders that I had in my experience, because they really knew how to lead their people. Leadership skills are really, really strong, and they had a knack for. So I think as leaders, we're not expected to know everything. You're expected to.
No, it's to your detriment, because the more time you spend learning all the details, that's what the implementation people are for. The more time you spend on those, the less you can spend on the actual, architecture, building it all together, and strategy and.
Okay, so people are saying my voice is too low, so I'm going to move the mic a little bit closer. Is that a bit better, guys? Okay, I hope it's okay. Lillian, can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, cool. We'll just see how it goes. All right. Yeah.
So my answer to that question was yes, but no. Yes, you do need to master the data science, in the sense that you do need to go in and learn how all of that works, learn all the caveats, all the exceptions, how all these technologies work together. But it's not just data science, also data engineering, also data storytelling, also analytics design. You got to know all of the areas in the data space. And do you have to know how to code everything, configure and code everything and build everything yourself? No, that's going to not be a good use of your time. But do you have to know enough to know when you need to call in a subject matter? You need to call in an implementation person and get more perspective. Do you need to know the exceptions and what's possible? Yeah, you do need to know all that. So yeah, you do have to master, you have to master data science, but not from the sense that you got to spend 10 years working as a data scientist, and then that's somehow going to magically make you a data leader, because let me tell you this, how it works really is that data leaders on average make twice what data professionals make. So if you're a good data professional and you're doing a great job and you're working hard and like doing everything to be the best data implementation person you can, then the business is going to want to keep you doing that, because they're getting good value and it's costing them less, right? They're not going to be like, hey, you're doing a great job implementing all this, now let me pay you twice as much. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing data implementation, they're not going to necessarily want to move you into a role where they're going to have to pay you twice as much. So they're going to say, great, you're doing a great job there, keep doing it.
Exactly. From my experience, I came up through the ranks where I kind of worked in analytics, in campaign reporting, and I got a very good view of low level, what we're doing at a very granular level. Then I moved into a more predictive modeling, data science sort of role, where I got to work on larger projects, and that really helped me, or more larger data science.
Are you talking about marketing?
This is all within the marketing space.
Oh, you got to meet my client. His name is Cameron. I'll introduce you guys later. He does basically marketing data science, and he started his own business. and just got like this $100,000 contract off of LinkedIn, and he does revenue optimization. Yeah, it's been really fun working with him. I'm like, I want to hire you now because I really need the help.
But yeah, I think honestly, a lot of for my experience anyway, and where I'm moving towards in my career, I've gone and kind of done like a little bit of each data role, and that has helped me kind of gain a better picture overall. Oh, sorry, hit my microphone. And I felt that because I've got this experience through the wide range of different data skills, that then I can kind of help other people with different areas because I've dipped my toes and I know enough to be dangerous in every single one of them. And for me, I'd love to figure out and learn from you how to use all of my skills in combination and take myself to the next level.
See, you're already there because you have that breadth. Yeah, you have that breadth. So like if you had spent 5 years doing just focusing on like being a deep learning person, doing deep learning, then I would say, okay, there's going to be some room. You need to like learn about other things. You're too niche down. A lot of people get too niche down and pigeonholed, but you have the breadth, which is great because you need it. And
I think.
And also, but what I would say is honestly, you're already a data leader in a sense because, so I've defined like data leader on my website, but like, okay, you're obviously a data leader, you're a thought leader. So we're going to go into the 4 superpowers. Let's do that now. So the 4 superpowers of a great data leader: data strategy, project management, thought leadership, and organizational leadership. These are the things that companies are looking for when they hire a chief data officer. So you've got the thought leadership part, like big time down, and you're already doing some of the leadership elements because you are leading other data professionals. You're building a culture. If you're at all like corporate, if you're ever bringing out like promoting your corporate the values, how much that you're championing the values of your employer on the say on LinkedIn, and like having conversations that say like, I just really appreciate like the corporate culture where I work and stuff like that. So that would be something that would be quasi lead. It's in the leadership camp.
It's like the collaboration between different silos and helping people upskill in their analytics to try and raise the business goals or something like that.
Yeah, well, we can talk more about leadership, and so like leadership, there's a lot of helping with like communication expectations and just supporting executives and helping stakeholders, helping them feel supported so you don't get like problems with user adoption. So there's that whole element of like, how are we communicating effectively? How are we building for leadership? It's like, how are we baking the needs and expectations of our end users into the actual product we're developing it? And so that's leadership, but the how you actually bake it in is going to be the strategy. You build your product, your project around the actual requirements. Oh yeah, okay, so.
Just one comment as well. So all these superpowers, for me, they sound like the skills that product owners would traditionally have. Your product managers, product owners, the people who are supposed to be like the CEO of some feature, if it's a tech company, for example. And do you see that?
Except, yeah, that is true. Except for usually, when you say product owner, I think it's very much similar to project manager. And so, yeah, a good product owner or project manager is going to have those leadership skills. They're going to have. I don't know how many of them actually have thought leadership skills where they're actually aggregating and helping others, like, because thought leadership is all about influencing other data professionals and helping and motivating and inspiring them to like create that culture. And the one thing that product owners and that project managers don't have is data strategy in general. They don't have a data strategy is like the I don't know what the word is. I don't know what the saying is.
X factor.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that, so, yeah.
When it comes to, you can just randomly say, oh, that thing, the data strategy is this later on.
Well, because just most people it's just not a skill set that's being shared about a lot. And, so there's four big consulting companies out there that do strategy work. And then there are some smaller, either individuals, consultants, or small consulting firms that do data strategy. But if they have developed a process or acquired a process of how to actually do that, they are definitely not putting it out there for people. They're not putting it out there for data professionals because data strategy costs they can charge a lot of money for that, like to the tune of $1,000 to up to $2,500 per hour is the kinds of numbers I've been seeing around in the work that I've done as a data strategist. So they don't want the competition, right? If you have a secret sauce or you can get, that kind of money, you're not gonna create an online course in general, right? So I even did that. I created a data strategy product, and I was like, okay, I'm going to help business leaders because I don't want to give out the secret sauce just like everyone else, right? But what I realized is that along the way, that type of mentality is killing the data industry because the failure rate of data projects is so high. And business leaders can't be expected to continue to invest in projects when, the failure rates are upward of 70 or, 70% or something like that, so the way around that, to avoid that in the first place is to have a good, solid, strategy that's built on a thorough evaluation of your organization and is feasible, done a feasibility analysis and all that. And then you have a project manager that does the project management. So the strategy is implemented to specification. Everything is, there's benchmarks. You don't get too far down the path. You don't choose technologies, invest in technologies based on hype. There's all these things, right? But if the large consulting companies are charging $250,000 per quarter for data strategy work, and so for most businesses, and they're not giving that great results, to be honest, from what I've seen. Maybe I don't know, I haven't seen everything, but what I'm saying is that most companies can't afford that, and so they don't have, either they don't have that, they don't have a data strategy, or they don't have a well-formed data strategy that's based on a thorough assessment of their organization, its needs, all that. Or, sorry, this is like my data strategy is my jam. Or the thing is that none of that is going to work. What these organizations need is they need a data leader. They need a chief data officer. They need someone in-house that can design the strategy, can manage this whole thing, and it's not going to cost the company $1 million a year. So that's when we turned my product around, because then it was like, okay, how are you going to, you could help individual companies one by one, or you could train you could train other data professionals to become data leaders, give them these skills, and then we could serialize this, and they could be the data leader for the company,
That's
that's a story I don't generally tell, but yeah.
I think it's very interesting to hear about the super high failure rates of data projects. Do you think that this is because they jump onto the hype of we need to do the AI, the machine learning, we need data-driven decisioning for everything, and they kind of jump onto these things with those strategy firms to try and almost make true those promises of what they're hearing in social media or the popular press, conventional wisdom. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of hype-driven purchases, like technology acquisition based on hype, and a good example of that would be the whole Hadoop mess that happened, and now you can't even say big data. Or it could be that they've got a really good salesperson that comes and just sells this solution that isn't actually something that's appropriate for the organization, but they're making a bunch of money. So, and the executives want the easy button, so they just buy it. Then there's the thing of lack of data literacy across an organization, especially if for executives, they just don't need to, of course, it's not their job to like know all the ins and outs of data, everything, but just to have the conversation with IT, because a lot of times IT executives are intimidated and don't want to say something that no one doesn't want to say something that sounds like they don't know what they're talking about. So they won't say anything, and they'll be like, okay, the IT department said this, we'll just go. And they get railroaded because they, and so it's just like the little bit of like the literacy enough to stand up and ask the questions and not feel afraid that they're going to be, judged. So there's that, and there's just a lot of factors, but I would say the number one factor for the data project failure is that they didn't have a good data strategy in the first place. For me, so when you have when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, but I would say it's data strategy. Because if you have a data strategy, you're going to have everything mapped out in advance and really have evaluated to know that the use case, the technologies, everything is 100, is as good as it could possibly be and aligned with the exact needs of this company,
Definitely. Having worked on multiple data projects, it's so important to get your foundations right. Making sure all the data that you want to use for your end project and your end delivery is right. Otherwise, you could build really awesome models, but if your data's not right to begin with, you have no idea what you've just built, whether it's going to work, whether it's doing the right thing, all those sorts.
Yeah. And that's right. And so that's data resources. And so when you're doing a data strategy, that would be something that you would assess, you would evaluate. What data resources do we even have here? What data technologies do we have here? What skill sets in terms of what people do we have available to us right now? What is our business vision? And then how can we take what we already have and generate as much, choose the use case that's going to give us the most bang for our buck, considering everything we have. Select the use case and then really evaluate, okay, how would this work given existing processes? Who do we need to bring on? What needs, and really evaluate, is this the very best use case? And evaluate a few of them, and then go and say, okay, we've got the use case. Now let's say, what do we need to do? What's the optimal way? If you've got to treat the data, you've got to bring data in, you've got to choose technologies. What is the optimal? What are all of the optimal choices for all of that? And put together an actual data strategy plan.
Oh, you
update every 2 years.
That's a key point as well.
Yeah, so it's a living, breathing document. And I learned all of this through my years as a data consultant. And then also, to be honest, I'm an environmental engineer, so I'm a professional engineer, and I did consulting for the Navy, and I did technical planning and management planning for all sorts of, but it's all engineering type work. And so I learned a lot of this stuff with the, putting the plans and maintaining everything and benchmarking. I did that for years before I went into became a data professional. So.
Yeah, what you were describing about planning the strategy and all the different questions that come in and all the various things that you have to keep in mind when doing this sort of work, it just sounds amazing. It's it's like a massive jigsaw puzzle. And this is before I started working.
Yeah, you collect all the pieces, you sort, you interview, you do surveys, you get it all together. And then, yes, I love this. Yeah.
Sort of like, I remember when I finished uni and everyone was saying, oh, you have to management consulting, the big three management consultancies. And they kind of talk about doing all those sorts of things. But I didn't get in the first place. And then I started moving into data. And then now it seems like the two worlds are kind of merging together, where now it's like if you have all the jigsaw puzzles and you know what you're doing with the data side of things, you're in a really good position to capitalize in, like, say, corporate, for example, in any commercial thing that you're tackling. If you have all those things in place, you're really set up for the future.
Yeah, exactly. It's taking that strategic, yeah, I mean, so it's just taking consulting methodologies and consulting approach in terms of like strategy and advising, but then bringing in the data aspects of everything. Mm-hmm. So you could take so I have a signature or framework, data strategy framework, which is a process. Right. But in theory, you could take that same process if you wanted to apply it to a different type of technology. You could take the same type of process and learn about a whole nother type of technology and apply it there just as effectively, because it's a strategic process. So it's a process. So before I did environmental engineering, so I did like water systems, wastewater systems, and design engineering water systems. Not that it's identical, of course, because, the work, it's been 10 years and I've been doing data since then. So I've learned a lot from really big, like Fortune 100 companies. I've picked up a lot, and like writing books I've learned a lot. I've acquired a lot of like insider stuff in terms of like know-how, and combined everything into my own little thing. But I'm just saying that, yeah, I'm feeling vulnerable now.
I think, yeah, Lillian is a mega expert for anyone who's watching this and they just joined in. And yeah, I'm getting so much. It's just really awesome to have a chat with you and hear all of these stories about working as an engineer, moving through working as a data scientist, and then now doing these big strategy pieces for Fortune 100 companies, and like doing your own thing and being a leader in data strategy, where there's not many voices in this area, to be honest. And
they don't want those voices there, because you don't want to democratize this stuff when it's $1 million per year for private consulting companies. So they don't want data professionals being like, oh, I can actually do this for you and you don't have to spend money on them. Yeah. So that's what winning with data. And I got really outraged with just the highway robbery that I saw. So I developed a product, a suite of products that help data professionals at a super low price point. Let's just blow this whole thing, like an expose on how to become a data leader, because it's just wrong. If data, charge your $250,000 per quarter if data projects are doing well. But if you're making that off the backs of data professional, like basically businesses are trying to get ahead because they have to stay competitive. And we don't want, as data professionals, we want to protect the good name of our work, right? Like, we don't want 70% of our projects being just money down the toilet. Mm-hmm. That's not good for our industry. So, you know what I'm saying? So something has to be done. And those people that are making $1 million a year, they're not going to be the ones that are going to do it. They're not going to be like, oh, let me help. You know what I'm saying? Let me put this out there so I can make less money. But for me, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I think it's almost the thing that really drives me when I'm working is the accountability of what we're working on. It's like everything that we do, we want to do a great job. And when there are some people, some unscrupulous folks who their accountability is not quite there in that sense, and they're just in it for the money sometimes. And if these sorts of projects that they're getting a lot of money for, there's no incentive for them to teach other people how to do it,
Oh no, it's decentive.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want the
Yeah.
competition, right?
And I think it's really honorable that you're out there just making a difference and really trying to help people learn this. It's like, it's almost, for me, it's a very, I can't see how people can learn this skill without having a lot of experience. But seeing you building these awesome courses and like sharing your knowledge in very actionable ways in the material that you've created is like really inspiring. And yeah.
Thank you. And how they can learn it, that's how they can learn it. So it's the same with anything else. You can learn it if someone will teach you. It's not rocket science. Actually, it's a lot easier than data science. It just takes a different skill set. So you can learn it, but someone needs to teach you, and there's no one teaching this stuff. So it's the same with, entrepreneurship. So half of the work I do is just in, as a business owner, right? And so it's like, well, how could you learn? How could you think of this? How could you learn? Well, I didn't do it on my own. We stand on the shoulders of giants, but some people have to stand up and be willing to share, right? And that's how the rest of us can get ahead without beating our heads bloody against a wall, learning everything ourselves the hard way, which I am guilty of doing many times.
Yeah, this is part of why I started doing the mentoring as well for a lot of the aspiring data scientists who are part of Data with Danny in our Slack communities and everything, where for me when I started, it was just really difficult because no one was freely giving out that information, and not in a way where you're kind of making yourself available to actually get some feedback and interaction with the people who are teaching you the stuff as well. So I think...
Yeah, because it's very tough. It is noble of you to do that, honestly, because it's not, so I don't think you would be able to do that for so long because it's not scalable and you're one person. So you need systems to support you. You need people. It's in terms of sustainability. So if you are getting mentored by Danny right now, really, really, really take as much, just like appreciate it as much as possible, because you can't go on being like, you're not paid for that, right?
Definitely not. I'm trying to do all of this like almost 100% for free, because I truly believe like this sort of education, the base data literacy to get stuff done in this new future world, which is almost everything is data related. I believe that a lot of the basic education should be free for everyone. There should be equity, like everyone should be able to access this sort of material essentially. That's why I do these YouTube lives. I post.
Yeah.
Sometimes it pains me when I see a lot of people, they charge a lot for a lot of courses, and the courses are just kind of amalgamations of some of the material that you could easily just Google or read in a book. For example.
Are you talking about in the data space?
In the data space, in the technical areas.
I don't understand that, honestly. Like, I heard about someone, because I had an R course. So I'm a business coach and I do data strategy and all this stuff, but I had an R course, and that was my first thing, my project that I started in my business, which is how I got that. Honestly, launching that was how I got the LinkedIn Learning deal, right? So you asked about that before the call. Launching my own little R course. But then I did that one time and I realized, I launched it and then I realized, oh, why would someone so I wanted $400 for this course, which wasn't actually a lot compared to what some other people charge, but why would someone pay that? I just didn't believe in it, because I'm like, you could get the same exact information over on Udemy for $10 or something like that. So why would someone want to pay more? How can you make a business off of that? But then I had a coaching client tell me that some people are selling coding courses in data science and making like $100,000 a launch per launch. And I'm like, why are these people pay? How can you, that's even possible? Because it's on Udemy. It's not that hard to just, I don't know.
So for anyone watching this, there's a ton of great data science technical resources that you can get, and you don't have to pay an arm and a leg for it. Just look around for...
Oh, I taught myself for free, basically. I had my boss buy some Python courses for me, but it was cheap. And you can just teach yourself. That's what I did.
that's me as well. I was really lucky to have a super technical mentor on my first project, but not everyone is so lucky, I think. And yeah.
Funny, I was mentored by, on my project is when I was working in spatial data science, I was basically it was so much great leadership and mentoring there. And I was mentored by the guy, he would have been chief data officer. He was the manager of the IS system where I worked, IS unit, but he would teach me about, he would do all the organizational politics things, and he would be like, you have to let them come up with the idea themselves, and you have to and he would just teach me everything. He taught me, and we got a proof of concept approved for this analytics, and I was like the lead developer, but he was like the strategy,
like the brain
leader person. And yeah, it was such a great experience. But then I quit there, and I keep thanking him, but I guess he just never wanted me to quit or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I still keep in touch with most of my mentors from my first data science role, and they're all super supportive. I had some people actually, one of them told me that he watched my first YouTube live where I was talking about like how to mentor, how to get into data science, the basic skills that you need for any data role. And he was just saying, oh yeah, just keep going, you're doing a great job. And I think for me, just having people who are like enthusiastic and want you to succeed, like truly you can feel the energy from them, and that's the sort of thing that I'm trying to do myself. And but I think it's we just need more people that are doing this, because I think you can just, that's how you get
more leaders. That's why I'm saying that you're already a leader, so you can add these superpowers. And if you want to be an employee, then you can get probably a better paid job and get to do, for me, I like strategy work. I like strategy management better. So to me, it's more fun. So you can get paid more and do more fun work. But you might not want to do that, but what you have, like the basis, like you already have the stuff, because the thing is that people come from all these other backgrounds of traditional leadership. They don't have the basis. You have to have the data stuff, you have to have solid data competency. You do need a decade of, so that's another thing, is sometimes I see a lot of you have to keep doing all this, the whole competition we talked about, the whole competition thing of back when I came up, it was is that a fake data scientist or what? Because everyone was really coveting, oh, I'm a data scientist and I have a PhD and you can't be a data scientist. And it was the whole internet, and oh my gosh. And it's
yeah. Crazy.
It's just, to me, it's dumb. I don't even know what I was talking about, but just the whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, for anyone watching, don't worry if anyone calls you a fake data scientist or anything in general. Just, I don't know, believe in yourself. Talk to great people. Talk to great people like Lillian. Talk to great people. I don't think I'm a great person. I shouldn't call myself. Talk to great people like Eric Weber on LinkedIn, or Dave Langer, or all these other.
Yeah, I liked what I saw the other day that he was sharing.
Which one?
Sorry.
This.
Eric, because he was talking about how people are getting these jobs as data scientists and they're not happy. And that you shouldn't expect yourself oh yeah, that's where we go back to fake data scientists. There's this whole competition of do you know the thing, the latest, do you know how to do that? If you don't, you're not it. You're not where it's at. And Eric is well, not everyone should be a data scientist, because I've seen people get into this and they're not happy. And it's not, I was telling you, it's not a matter of smarts or a matter of education or anything. It's a matter of honestly, what is your passion? Are you a person that wants to create, like we were talking about with leadership? Do you want to scale? Do you want to scale your impact across technologies? Is that the thing that gets you excited? Or do you want to be scaling impact across people? And if you're a people person, spending a decade coding isn't going to make you happy, and that's not what anyone wants for you. And if you're a technology person who wants to do the implementation work, trying to become a data leader to make more money or something like that isn't going to be good. You're going to hate it. because they're going to want to talk to you. They're going to want all these things that you just are like, please leave me alone. I just want to do my own thing and build this thing and be done with it.
Maybe that's a really important point where you really just want to almost progress in your career by understanding what drives you personally. So if you find yourself really enjoying working with others and leading projects and doing lots of like more almost like extroverted type work, then you should think about like, why not try and do that for your actual role and do more of it and really lean into it and specialize as a leader in that sense. And if you see yourself, you love the coding, you can spend 3 hours looking at your code, trying to debug it and failing hundreds of times and running unit tests and whatever.
That's my husband over there, and he's
Amazing.
like, he wants to do that for the rest of his life. He has no interest in going on a live or like he doesn't want to do any of that, managing the project. He's like, I just want to build this thing. And we need that.
100%.
You can't be a big technology company if you don't have the implementation people. That is 100% necessary. So there's no better than or worse than. That's something I don't like in industry when I was saying like the big data scientists and like you have to do this. There's no like better than or worse than. We all add value from even people who are just doing data literacy, but they're doing like, I know someone, I used to do digital humanitarian, and I was a crisis mapper, and I knew a girl, Heather Lee Sohn, and is she like a badass data scientist? No, but she knows data, and she now she works for the UN, she works for all these, and she does data literacy and travels the world helping. And they talk about like, we have these discussions about should we have like a data ethics and data privacy, and should this be like a UN thing, or should this be like a self-organizing like grassroots movement among people, and how do we deal with these ethical issues across society? To see she's like she's a leader, but she's not a data scientist, but she's making a huge difference in the world,
Definitely. That's such an inspiring story.
Thank you.
I think, so Lillian's prepared an actual story in our content where
It's a story too.
And I think this one is worth listening to. I think from here, pretty much this is a story where how do you get into a data leadership position, even if you don't have the degrees or the professional coding experience? I would love to hear the story.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it as well, because this story is good.
I have to say I was a little jealous when Anyway, the story is anonymized, guys. The story is totally anonymized. I haven't gotten permission to share it, and I have changed all names and everything but it's the equivalent of the actual story. Okay, so it's the same but different. How to snag a data leadership position even if you don't have a STEM degree or professional coding experience. All right, so guys, I want you to meet Tim. And Tim graduated from a liberal arts college, right? Got his degree in government and stuff like that. Got a government degree, worked in government, and thought, okay, but the one thing definitely Tim had going for him is very, very industrious, very much wanted to like just move forward, not just happy with the boring government job, but how can I be the best I possibly can be in this role. Decided, okay, I want to improve my project management capabilities. So he started studying project management. And out of school, the first job that he got in government was as a business analyst in the IT department. Now, actually, on a side note, I do have one, like winning with data. What business analyst is actually one of the, if you're a business analyst, it would be good for you. Business analysts do a lot of data stuff actually, but okay, so was doing business as an analyst in the IT department, right? And then quickly got promoted to senior analyst in the IT department, right? And had then developed pretty great project management skills and had gotten those credentials that he needed. So he became the IT team leader. So he became information technology team leader, right? Then decided, okay, I'm going to move out of government and I'm going to move into private sector. So Tim went out and he got a job with a management consulting firm. And he started working on technical project management. I guess probably doing technical project management as well in government, right? To continue doing that, but mostly focused on that in private sector. And then on the side, I took an interest, of course, because he's industrious, in this whole data science thing that's coming out. So he started studying data science, and he read my book, and then said, oh, I could really see how we could turn this into something, across, in our technical projects. We're doing management consulting, but like technical consulting, right? So took an interest in learning all of the ins and outs of data science and data engineering, took a few online courses, and just kind of learned how it all works as far as machine learning. And then, so that would be, 2016 reads Data Science for Dummies. 2018 takes data science courses online. 2019, I get a message from Tim that he has gotten a job at, okay, now everything in this is anonymized, but essentially it's the same as Chief Data Officer at Ritzy the Carlton's Hotels. So this Ritzy the Carlton's is a really high-end hotel chain, and Tim, who didn't go and get like all of the degrees, didn't spend the decade of data science, data scientistic work, goes and is now the chief data officer at Ritzy the Carlton's Hotels, right? And the responsibility under that role was building AI programs, managing leadership relationships, managing teams of data professionals, and doing data strategy advising. So how much money do chief data officers make? I looked that up on Glassdoor a few months ago now, and it was on average $236,000 per year. And now instead of going and spending 10 years in the trenches learning all these things of building all these things, has bypassed all of that and gone straight to leadership in a matter of I don't know, 6-10 years. And has now, just because I followed up with Tim, has some pretty incredible success stories out of the work that he did with Ritzy the Carltons. But how did Tim get this? How did this work out for Tim? Well, Tim had a liberal arts degree, people talent, sharp project management experience, data strategy skills, and a fundamental data competency. Understood the different areas of data and how data science, all of the things in data work. And so I want to just I just want you to be encouraged that if you feel like I don't know enough, I'm not good enough, I need to learn this other thing and then I'll be okay, then I'll be good enough to it's going to be enough. That's imposter syndrome. It's never going to go away. The more you learn, the more your imposter syndrome, you're going to have more of that. Because how it works is the more you know that you don't know. So you don't need to have a decade of data as a data scientist to become a data leader. If you want to scale your impact across people, then just start showing up as a data leader. Amplify the value of the expertise you already have. So you don't need, it's never going to be like you can't even keep up with all of the new and greatest developments in data anyway, even if you wanted to. But if you tried, you definitely couldn't become a data leader, because you'd be just ragged trying to keep up with all of the latest developments. You couldn't go any other direction. But don't let imposter syndrome stop you. What it comes down to that is, like, when you feel afraid, when you feel not good enough, you have to lean into, how can I add value now? If you have data expertise, there's something you can do with it to help either other people or to contribute that across your organization. There's just always something you can do. Do not let the imposter syndrome stop you.
I think that's such an awesome story. To actually have someone go through that whole experience where they pretty much came from a non-data background where they worked within the IT department. They upskilled on the side, reading your book and taking online courses, and then transforming themselves into a chief data officer at the Ritz-Carlton's.
I was a little jealous, except for I don't want a job. I live in Thailand on an island, so I was kind of like, I don't want a job. But a little bit of me was like, what am I missing out on?
And I didn't know that you lived in Thailand on an island. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been here for like 6 years, and I kind of just can't go back now at this point. So I'm just like, there's a lot of great jobs out there, but I got to do my own business.
So guys that are watching, if you become a great data leader, you can also live in Thailand on an island like Lillian.
Yeah.
And live stream with me as well. We have some questions as well through.
Okay, cool. Let's cover those. Oh, okay. The call to action, guys, is join Winning with Data. At least go over to the registration page and check it out. That's the end of the story. And sign up today, and you can start becoming a better data leader tomorrow. Okay, that's my little pitch. Now, questions.
Yeah. So I've just put up the description. There's a link.
Sorry, and I'm all like with my legs up. I am totally, definitely. But this is informal. You have a sweatshirt, you have a sweater. But
yeah, totally informal. So yeah, guys, there's I've shared the link in the description. Right now, it's called Winning with Data.
I should sit up better.
Leadership for data professionals. Yeah, feel free to take a look at this one. Yeah, Lillian's put in a ton of effort into it, and I will personally go on this course as well, because I would love to learn from her experiences. I'm just lucky enough to also have a chat with her in real life as well.
Danny, you're such an awesome person. I'm excited. I'm so excited. Guys, come tomorrow. He's going live on my channel at the same time tomorrow, talking about selecting tools for ML, machine learning operations, especially in light of the remote working changes that have been made with COVID. Let me find a link to that, or can you share a link to tomorrow's ad event so they can come?
Definitely. I've shared it across all of my guys on their platforms, so on Slack and email. But I'll also throw a link down there in the description.
Yeah, come tomorrow, because we're gonna get a good technical training, get up to speed on some of this ML ops stuff that we need to know as data leaders. So
there's also a question here that's related to that. So in one of them, I'm just going to bring this up because we skipped through a few things. It was, I brought this up on the screen. How does one overcome technology barrier to become a data leader? Is it a must to know SQL, Python, R, or any other tools to become a great data leader? And
I would take some courses in all of the above, but I wouldn't take them that I've got to learn all this and start trying to memorize it and do it all yourself. Maybe, yes, work along with the courses, but not from the stance of like, now I have to take an interview to whiteboard all of this. Just, you do need to know it, yeah. But so I'm not a data engineer, and I don't know how, well, I do know enough, I do know how Hadoop and MapReduce work. I do know about a lot of different things with data engineering, but have I ever built a data pipeline, or have I ever done data engineering? No, but do I understand the alternative technologies out there? What are the pros and cons, how they all integrate together to build these systems that we need in order to that stuff you need to know. So because you can't recommend technologies if you don't know what's out there, and you can't evaluate them. So you have to know enough to evaluate them, and you also have to know enough to know when to call in the subject matter expert, like call in the people that are actually building this stuff, because they can tell you a lot.
Yeah, that was what I was going to mention as well. It's like you need to have enough knowledge to know where your knowledge starts petering out. And once you reach that stage, you should almost be confident in yourself enough to actually go out and ask the experts for their advice. And because
so another thing we built into data, into winning with the data, I really put a lot of work into this, is that, okay, so there's data strategy club. So I encourage people, if you need that extra expertise, don't do it inside your company, because people are going to be jealous. If they're data implementation people and you're starting to step up and like show up as kind of a leader in here, they are going to be like, oh, he's trying to show off, they're not going to like that. So you may or may not want to like ask them the questions, because they could then, they don't know this, they're not as good, I would just go inside Data Strategy Club. We've got tons of data implementation people in there that can they can answer the questions, and you don't have to risk the gossip.
That's really important as well. Like I personally need to learn more of that skill, because I've traditionally just been more of like a open communicator, and people can sometimes take it the wrong way. I don't know, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm too aggressive when I ask my questions. But yeah, I think that's awesome to actually have a community within the program to ask these questions that you can't really ask people without trying to out yourself in your workplace, is a really valuable thing to have. I think it's a great idea. Okay,
Thank you.
I'm going to go through another question here. Let's see. I wish you could see this, Lillian. Actually, there's a ton of comments. So maybe.
Please, you can screen share them. You can screenshot them for me.
Yeah.
I would love them, actually, because maybe on another live event when we come, I can use those, like I can anonymize them and say, hey, last time we did an event, this is what people had to say. So now I'm giving you some mentoring for entrepreneurship.
Definitely.
You always want to save good comments so that then you can
how do you interact with them, and how do you, All right, so let's go with this one from Ayush. Thanks for joining us today. So programming and building machine learning are like essential parts of data science, but services like Data Robot don't require you to have any knowledge regarding those skills to build ML models. And then the second part is, in future, do you think that these services will substitute these skills? This is a question.
No, but it probably decrease. It will decrease the demand, which there needs to be something to buffet this. We do need something in place that doesn't, just any more support is better. But data scientists, okay, so I don't consider myself a data scientist. I consider myself a data educator. But we build models for custom applications, right? So these built for you, so these platforms or these done for you solutions are kind of plug and chug. So yeah, you can't get predictive results, kind of like a calculator. You want to use a calculator, then you can use a calculator. But do you want to build a calculator? Then you need a data scientist.
That's a great analogy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, definitely. You need that hacker to actually get inside the internals and figure out what's going on.
To make the actual technology that can do the predictions. So you can go and use someone else's calculator and get a prediction, but if you want to build an application that makes the predictions for you, you're going to need someone in there that knows how to build models, and also machine learning engineer, how to build those in, how to deploy them in production and all of that stuff.
My biggest thing in my area of expertise is building the labels or the target variables that you actually feed into the models. So having worked so much in that space, I know how difficult it is to get it right, and to also be able to build it in a way where you can kind of use it over time as well. I think it's really interesting. But yeah, I'm not quite sure if we will be able to replace a lot of the data scientists who work in that specific area, where they're working really closely with the business to try and identify exactly what they're trying to predict, what sort of decisions they're trying to make, and trying to get a bigger picture before you even do any of the data work. I think that's where I like to focus my energy.
That sounds fun, yeah.
It's very...
There's consulting in there, big time.
Yeah, definitely.
In business expertise and all of that stuff, where it's nice.
It's like, I think of it like a applied machine learning, but with a very applied side.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
All right, so...
Danny, do you do any work on the... anyway, I'll talk another time.
Maybe we'll talk later after anyway. Okay, so there's... Lillian, how are you going for time? I know we've gone for 65 minutes.
Yeah, I should probably hop off, but let's do another 1 or 2 questions.
Last one. Okay, we'll do one.
And also, guys, I can follow up if you leave your questions in the comments or you catch the replay and have a question. I'm happy to hop into the channel and answer it afterwards in comments.
I love reading comments on everything, so if you have a comment on anywhere, just leave it in there and I'll make sure I read it. And if I don't follow you, just I don't know, hit me on LinkedIn or something.
Danny is an amazing communicator.
I spend a lot of time on my socials. I find it really fun just talking to people. All right, so last question for Lillian. There's too many questions. Okay, there was... Okay.
Am I gonna miss out on the questions?
Go with this one. So, Abu.
Are they on YouTube?
They'll be on YouTube. I'll try and...
Oh, Abu is in Winning with Data.
Yes, so Abu is in Winning with Data. His question, I'm not sure if it's a he or a she, but we'll just say Abu's... Okay, Abu's question is, let me bring that up again. The data technologies out there, how much should one know about all these technologies? We talked about it briefly.
Yeah, you need to know what's out there. You need to know enough to be able to, I would say, present on the topic. You need to understand, know all the technologies that are out there. What are the caveats? What are the shortcomings? I would say the data field's been around long enough that you want to know the history. What are the failures? Look into failures and stuff like that. But so then you can know problem areas. Like, I don't want to name any names of companies, But I mean, so you need to know what the technologies are used for and which ones are particularly effective, how they, what environments are compatible, what types of technologies are compatible with other ones. But it just, do you need to know how to code everything out? I'm sure it would probably help. I haven't done that in terms of data engineering. I've done data science and analytics. And I do recommend taking courses to, make sure that you understand all the ins and outs of the data implementation stuff. But
yeah, honestly,
did I answer his question?
Yeah, that was really accurate. I think,
okay.
Yeah, I actually think that might be a good thing for me to tackle, because in my day-to-day, I get to touch a lot of the new and latest technology on the cloud. And maybe I can provide some of that sort of guidance in terms of, here's the 401 on I don't know, Apache Drill or Apache Spark, and what you need to know as a data professional, enough to know. It's almost, I like saying
that's great.
Yeah, I want to almost I love the saying, you want to know enough to be dangerous. If you say
at some point we should partner because I have some new program, eventually having new programs coming out, and that seems that stuff. Yeah, know enough to be dangerous, but you have to have people teach you. And yeah,
definitely.
I like that idea a lot.
Okay, there's one more, and it was related to your course as well. So it's, does someone need thorough knowledge of data science before joining the Winning with Data course?
No. So what Winning with Data is going to do is help you amplify the value of your existing data expertise. You will get, by going through the data strategy portions of the challenges, you will pick up data strategy skills. You will get a beginning on data strategy skills, and then also you will improve your data literacy. We also give a discount for the book Data Science for Dummies, which I wrote. So that can be a handbook in cases where you don't know something on data science or you don't know something on data engineering, and you can use that handbook, and it tells you the basis of what you need to know and then where to go to learn more, sort of thing. So there's that. But the thing, what we do with Winning with Data is start helping you, upskill you with data strategy skills, but also start helping you show up like a leader every day in your daily work as a data professional, and not just in-house, where you're attracting the good type of attention from managers and business leaders to get you invited to these data leadership conversations, but also on LinkedIn, and how do you just kind of leading you to developing its cultures and all of these things to become a data leader. And none of that requires you to get more data science skills.
Great.
But it does require that you have some sort of data expertise already.
And we'll go to the final question. Thank you so much, Lillian, for your time today. So
welcome. Thank you. I'm so honored to be on your show, really, Danny.
Not at all. It's my pleasure. So how important is domain knowledge or expertise in data science? Is it good to target one domain at the start or try different ones until you find the one you like? This question is for data science, but we can kind of broaden it out for data leadership or data professional in general.
Yeah, I like that question. Well, okay, so if you do too many things at one time, you make progress in very little. So it's always good to try and just focus on one thing at a time, which is actually, I have a hard time with that in my day-to-day.
Me too.
However, what I would actually do if you're in this position is I would take some sort of personality test. I would figure out the domain. I would just try and figure out where are your passions, or do an ideal day life exercise where you start hashing out what is your calling in life. If you could do anything in the world, what kind of impact do you want to make? And then find the domain that you feel is the most appropriate fit for making that change in the world, and start there.
That's such a good piece of advice. It's one of
Thank you.
Isn't it one of the Stephen Covey things where it's start with the end in mind, where the end is you have to almost visualize what your end state or what goals you want to achieve or what impact you want to have, or what your ideal goal is during your day-to-day life, that you can continue doing this for, say, the rest of your life. I think that's so important, just to really think about it. No one tells you to think about those things. Everyone.
No.
Yeah, everyone just.
They don't. But let me tell you, I did the ideal day life exercise when I first started as a data, full-time data professional, and my vision was I wanted to live in a foreign country, and I wanted to work for myself. And I mapped out my ideal day from start to finish in all of the circumstances. And then I realized that I was calculating, I'm how long is it going to take me? And I thought it would take, at that time it would have been 13 years. So I was 30 then. And I thought by the time I'm 43, I'll have enough money that I can quit working for other people, and I can move to a foreign country and all this stuff. And once I had the vision, it was I think it was 18 months. Maybe it was 2 years. And I had that vision had come true. I had moved to another country. I had quit the day job. I had gotten everything in line, and it was just thriving. I was writing that book. Incredible. But you just have to have the vision and then go for it and have faith. So if you have some sort of spirit faith, like God, or something to believe in to help you through, because it's a little scary, you can do wonders.
Definitely. I've always felt, for me personally, when I have this mind, like this goal in my mind, and that's what I've just decided to do. I'm just gonna almost move heaven and earth to try and get it done, and just try my best, and just see what happens. And I think that's all we have to do, really, all we can do.
And then it falls into place. It's incredible. If you think like everything, you're like, everything I'm going to have to do to make this happen, you start doing it, and then you're like, it just happens. You just find it's like, oh, actually, I could just do this now.
Yeah.
I could do this. I just didn't realize it.
So for everyone watching, just go after it. Just do it. You can do it. Okay. I think we are truly over time. I've taken up so much of Lillian's precious time.
Danny, you're awesome. Thanks for having me on, and I'm so excited about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everyone join us.
Guys, tune in tomorrow. I'm going to try and share more of my production machine learning experience. And I'm going to try and put it into like an easy to understand analogy. I'm still working on it, so we'll see how it goes. But it's something to do about creating cars, so try and picture it in your imagination. But yeah, please tune in tomorrow as well. We'll be on exactly the same time. I think we'll be doing it on LinkedIn Live. I'll be sharing a link below in the description. I think it'll be an add event sort of link where you can respond, and it'll give you a notification when we're going live as well, so you won't miss out. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed today's session. Me and Lillian I had a ton of fun. I hope Lillian had fun.
Me too. It was really fun. I really enjoyed this, and just talking. And your personality, you're very refreshing, Danny.
Thank you so much.
I really, really like to get to meet you and know you some more. Thanks for having me on.
That's all right. But yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks to Lillian, and hope you all have a great night, and I'll see you guys as soon as possible. See you guys tomorrow, actually. All right. Bye now.
Bye everyone. Bye Data with Danny crew.
Bye.